I really can't remember the last time we spent as much time talking about assistant coaches, position coaches, and coordinators during a Kansas City Chiefs offseason. I guess that's because it's mostly been really good. And so the only time you have coaching changes is if someone gets hired away by another team trying to get a little bit of that Chiefs magic. Well, last year wasn't magical, and so this entire offseason is about the changes. I gotta tell you, I'm a little surprised by what was happening around the latest news of changes with the Kansas City Chiefs coaching staff. That's where we'll begin today on Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. I'm Joshua Brisco, Tucker Franklin producing the show live here on the KCSN YouTube channel. You can also just search for Everything Else with Joshua Brisco wherever you get your podcasts if you want the audio version, but I love it when we have the whole gang here from the video side. We can take your questions and comments in the live chat. We're going to have way more time for those as the off-season rolls on. And I'll take a step back here to maybe brag on my plan here for the next couple of months. So I think it was after championship weekend, I deleted the Twitter app from my phone. I still have the account and I can still access and I still check it now and again on desktop, but it's just too easy to get an Adam Schefter push notification and then click that and then read the news and then go, I don't care about this, and then to hit home and then to just scroll for an hour and go, wait a second. It was 4 o'clock when I got that push notification. Now it's dinner time. What happened? So you know what? And also just, as much as all of these apps have their own levels of toxicity, we need some pH balancing on Twitter X, okay? So that was the second to go. I deleted Threads first because it was the most useless. Again, I can still post there. I still put out the show link there. I can still check it on desktop, but I never opened Threads on purpose, ever. What would happen, though, is if I'm on Instagram, sometimes, they'll have the little section where it's like, here's what people are talking about over on Threads. And you see, a confusingly worded post with, a photo that you can't quite make out. So you click on that, and then it opens Threads. And you're like, oh, okay, this person has a gas leak in their house or something and needs to call someone else. But I don't need to be here. I leave the post. And then you scroll on Threads for an hour, and you go, wait a second. What happened to the last 60 minutes of my life? They've been eaten by this app that I don't care for. As we speak right now, I still have Instagram and Blue Sky. Blue Sky's a little bit tighter. I follow less people. There's a little less going on, so it's easier to get out of the gravitational pull. Instagram, even harder to get out of the gravitational pull of Instagram, but it's wormed its way deep enough in my brain. It's just harder to get away from. I deleted TikTok at one point. That's gone. That's not on my phone right now anymore. And it's really just kind of stemming from this point of maybe I don't need, especially February through August, maybe I don't need to have the mini pipelines of the internet. Maybe I don't need to give all of them unfiltered access to my brain all the time. And these apps are all better. I have a point here, I promise. The Oracle of Delphi in the chat says, love Fantastic Mr. Fox. That will derail me to talk about something else every single time. It's my favorite movie of all time, and this poster is one of my most prized possessions. Shout out to Jason Justice, who's definitely not listening right now, but he's the one who found this somewhere at some big thrift store thing, and he was like, you like this movie a lot, right? And I was like, yes, tell them to hold it. I think he hid it for me, and then I went and I picked it up. It was a delight. So anyway, I would rather talk about Wes Anderson movies than anything else anytime. Tom in the chat says, I didn't realize until recently I was doing a Fernando Mendoza, just YouTube and LinkedIn. That's hilarious. It took me a second to process what that meant. And now the Fernando Mendoza, LinkedIn and YouTube is an excellent thing. But all of these apps and all of these companies are much better at getting their hooks into our collective brains than we are at getting away from them, I think, just the way they're all built. And so I think I'm going to probably just delete Instagram for a little while here sometime soon. I'm saying it on the show now, so you can ask me about it in 2 weeks and be like, Josh, do you still have Instagram? And if I do, I'll go, yeah, I'll delete it now. I just would like to be less easily sucked into just kind of mindlessly scrolling through other people's thoughts and other people's voices in a way that's just like, maybe I'll go outside. Maybe I'll go throw the ball for the three-legged dog that wants to do nothing but fetch. Maybe I'll play a real game and not just like, Flappy Bird or whatever. I don't have Flappy Bird anymore. All that to say, I'm just doing trying to do a little bit of an off-season social media scroll app filtration to just get a little bit outside of some of those technocratic claws. So when the Chiefs hired DeMarco Murray as their new running backs coach, I think still reportedly at this time, I don't think the Chiefs have officially announced it, but I got the news from Tucker in a group chat. Tucker sent the link, and I went, DeMarco Murray, that's kind of cool. I loved watching DeMarco Murray play. He's been coaching at the college level for a while now as a running backs coach. What an interesting hire. What an interesting fit for this coaching staff. A couple of the other tertiary reasons this was exciting to me was we talked a lot about the outside hires and the new faces. Now, I think McCullough would have been, it just seems like he's an excellent fit still in Las Vegas for that reason. It seems like the Chiefs wanted him back if possible. That would have been fine. But this makes a ton of sense to me in terms of the type of coach, the type of position coach that I think the Chiefs should be shopping around for. So, reportedly, the move is your new Kansas City Chiefs running backs coach, former NFL running back, and most recently, Oklahoma running backs coach, DeMarco Murray. What was the point of my long-running, rambling social media divestment? I was surprised to find out, also via Tucker, that there was some rage coming from some parts of the social internet sphere from Chiefs fans, and specifically Oklahoma Chiefs fans who do not like this move. I'm gonna go through some of the specifics as we work here, but what I wanted to title today's show, and what I think would be a really good exercise for all of us to go through right now. Please be normal about the Chiefs hiring a new running backs coach. Here's the thing with DeMarco Murray that might not have been true for Todd Pinkston. Seems like it probably wasn't necessarily true for Connor Embry. I don't know either of those men personally. I don't know how they coach. I just know they're not here anymore. They're not with the Chiefs anymore. DeMarco Murray is qualified for this job. We can say that because we all know his resume. Now, being an excellent running back does not mean you'll be an excellent running backs coach, but they also didn't just hire Clyde Edwards-Helaire to go from player to coach one year to the other. It wasn't just Andy Reid's favorite running back who's been around recently. It's a guy who's actually gone through these steps. I'm going to tell you what some of the counter arguments are if you're also confused like I was. We're going to get to some of those. But before I got to any of the skepticism, that was what was evident to me. DeMarco Murray knows what it takes to be a top-level NFL running back. He was probably the best running back in football in 2014. He led the league in carries and yards from scrimmage. Almost 400 carries, almost 1,900 yards rushing. Did he have over 2,000 total yards from scrimmage? He did. Wow! 22-61. Almost 2,300 yards from scrimmage that year. What a season. So he knows what it's like to be at those peaks. He also knows what it's like to be out of the league 4 years later. A relatively short career, 7 years, for a guy with that high of a peak. That's a long career by any other NFL standards, really. But for a while, he was the guy, and then he played 3 more seasons. He was out of football. His last year in the league, by the way, 2017, which was Kareem Hunt's first year in the league. Mahomes, too, obviously. Mahomes, not playing, but getting drafted in that same Hunt draft class, obviously. But just thinking about the running back baton handoff there. So, I really just kind of thought that was going to go down as a home run for most people. It is a total outside voice, a total outside pair of eyes. And look, I don't think we should be considering that DeMarco Murray is going to come in here and like give Andy Reid a new wrinkle of the offense that he hadn't considered. I don't think that's DeMarco Murray's job. His job is going to be to get in here, maximize the running backs, develop the younger backs, whoever that ends up being. I imagine most of them will be younger. And bring those guys into the fold in what it takes to become a real, useful NFL running back. Again, he's got 5 years of experience coaching running backs at Oklahoma. Now an SEC program. Previously a Big 12 program. A powerhouse school that has not had all of the success in the world over the last few years. We'll get to that. But he's played at the highest level possible and coached at the second highest level possible. That, to me, is a good resume to say, I deserve to coach at the highest level possible. That's where I want to go next. And now he's here. I will say, if you think that DeMarco Murray might be a little green and you'd rather have a more seasoned running backs coach who has already coached at the NFL level for a long time, I hear you. I think that's fair. But now, DeMarco Murray is going to be coached by Eric Bieniemy. No one in the NFL has a lick of doubt about Eric Bieniemy as a running backs coach. And it seems like DeMarco Murray might have had more of that Bieniemy mentality at Oklahoma, which could have caused a little bit of friction here and there. It's also just like it's a different experience coaching college students and also an ever-changing college football landscape than it is coaching the pros at the pro level. It's just different. I don't think it's better or worse, or one's more inherently valuable than the other. There's a little bit of change there, a little bit of a differentiation. But if DeMarco Murray can bring, let's just say, I don't know, intensity and accountability and also top-level running back experience to this running back room, I just think that made so much sense that I hadn't even second-guessed if it was a good hire. It just added up. Before we get to the counter arguments, I will say, mentioning Chad O'Shea, a guy who's been coaching wide receivers for 2 decades, essentially, they both clear the same bar for me. O'Shea, the new wide receivers coach, and Murray. They got there in different ways, but again, they are both, in my mind, they're both qualified for the roles they're being put into, and they have experience in those roles. You don't need to be a former player to be a great coach. You don't need to be a great player to be a great coach. Those are often correlated. They are not. What would be the active word of causation? They are not causational. Is that a word? I don't know. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean. DeMarco Murray and Chad O'Shea both demand respect when they walk into their room, and they both have enough of the football life, if you will. They have both lived the football life where I just don't really have any questions on if they can do this thing. And again, if you feel like you need to see DeMarco Murray continue to evolve as a coach, he's now going to be learning from Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy as the guys above him in the org chart. It just adds up to me. Now, where some of the OU fan pushback has come from the offenses and the running games and the running backs over these last 5 years. Matty Lane, KCSN's very own, and the guys on the lab talked about some of this as well, because the report was early in the show on Wednesday, and then the news broke by the end. So I'm gonna already direct you to the lab for another topic later today as well. So just go ahead and download it. But what Matt tweeted was that the OU fan disdain for Murray is interesting. He's differentiating fan because it seems like he was very well loved and respected in the building, and we've seen I think a good handful of former players tweeting about or now former players being bummed that he's leaving. So here's what Matt kind of lays out. 2020 gets the best version of Stevenson and McGowan flashes before off-field issues. 2021, Brooks returns from injury and still rocks. 2022 gets the best out of Gray. 2023, Sawchuk emerges to his best season. 2024, bad year but nightmare offense. 2025, freshman Blaylock and sophomore Robinson in the rotation. Tawi Walker is the only player who left and got better, which was just volume. Maybe talent was the issue, not just the coach. Like, yeah, Ott didn't do anything for OU, and it sounds like there was something about that relationship that wasn't working. Again, maybe not just the coach. Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest kind of took on a similar thing in a response to the rushing yard rankings under DeMarco Murray. And Matt Derrick tweeted, interesting that DeMarco Murray draws the blame for OU's run game and not the 2 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators in 6 years running 2 air raid schemes and 2 spread schemes. Also adding, Murray's well respected. The Chiefs aren't the first NFL team to come calling. They're just the first team to convince him to leave his alma mater. I think those are both important bits of context from both Matts. I want to pick on one response here. I'm not going to rip their Twitter handle and they'd follow me. If you're listening right now, I want you to know, if you hear your own words read back at you here as an example of what I think is a bad way of looking at it, don't take this too hard. Don't take this personally or real vengefully, because I think that there are some thought processes in here that I think are wise to keep in mind, but I don't think they apply in this instance. So someone replied to Matt and said, not that I think the hire will have a huge impact, especially with EB around, but this is basically what copium sounds like. Underwhelming recent results, it wasn't his fault, coupled with an appeal to authority argument. I know we do talk about coaches and try to figure out who's to blame and who's to credit. How do we thread that needle? I don't think this is one of those instances. When you're talking about a college football program, when you are at best 3rd or 4th in the hierarchy of who's in charge of the offense, when so much is reliant on so many moving parts around you, I just can't even I can't even click my brain into place on OU's offense was underwhelming because of running backs coach DeMarco Murray. It's one of the things I think I've been pretty consistent on, where it's hey, look, Matt Nagy might have been past his expiration date here, but I don't think you can just say the Chiefs went 6-11 this year because of Matt Nagy or Todd Pinkston or Connor Embry. You want to get the best coaches you can for the spots they're in. I just think there is so much noise in that sample size that what I'm really asking you is, do you think he can coach running backs at a high level? If the answer is yes, this makes sense. They still need to reinvest in the running back room. There is still, you could absolutely point to the shortcomings, and I'm sure they talked about the shortcomings in Oklahoma. I just think you've got to be careful about how liberally you point the finger when you're spreading blame like that. And I don't think there's any need for copium here on, again, what to me seems like a pretty clear instance of a qualified ladder climber climbing to the next rung of coaching. Again, I not only have I not talked to DeMarco Murray myself, I've never heard him just give a press conference. So I'm getting several steps ahead. But if you said that in 5 years DeMarco Murray was an NFL head coach, this would be the step to take. Even if you just told me he wants to be an NFL head coach in 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years, I don't know. It depends on how well things go, I guess. This would be the move that you would tell him to make. Hey, you were this as a player. You were able to get this experience as a college coach. Now you're joining arguably, certainly one of the best running backs coaches in football is the offensive coordinator you're reporting to, and one of the greatest offensive minds in NFL history, one of the best managers in NFL history is the guy that he reports to, and Andy Reid. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If this blows up, then we can talk about it in a year or two and go, yikes, man. Okay, so DeMarco Murray, not that guy. I don't know how we would note that. But this is just a bad place to use your negative energy, in my opinion. If Dylan McCullough would have made you sleep better at night, but you're furious about DeMarco Murray. I just don't know that that's going to matter that much. I think what matters is that you're tall enough to ride the ride. Chad O'Shea's got 20 years of experience coaching wide receivers. I'm happy. DeMarco Murray was a very good NFL running back and then has been a high-level college coach for 5 years. Sounds good to me. Get in here. I just don't have the energy to be anything other than, like, pretty happy with that. And I think if things had gone well last year, if Todd Pinkston got hired away from somewhere else and didn't leave because the Chiefs didn't want him around anymore, then I guess you could probably talk yourself into like, oh yeah, okay, got a good now young coach coming into the room who's gonna learn under Reed and Bieniemy. I know everybody's kind of antsy on the running back front. Everybody's been talking a ton about the coaching staff. I just think this hire makes sense. I was pleasantly surprised just because it wasn't even on my radar. And I'm happy with it. I feel like most people should be happy with that. I was surprised to find out that there was rage to come, but you know, that's social media. Check out the comments real quick, then we'll take a break and bring Tucker in here. Nathan says, JB, are you going to throw a massive party when the Chiefs select Jeremiah Love? I'm probably not. But if we get there, we get there. I will say, as we will continue to discuss as the weeks go on, and we talked about a little bit on Weird Games yesterday, I might be down to pay Breece Hall. I'm not going to do the whole running back breakdown here because for what will be the second of 3 times today, the lab did a really good job of that on Wednesday's show, going through some of the specifics there. But as we talked about it on the Weird Games yesterday, your free agent money goes further on running backs, where your draft capital goes less far for running backs. We'll kind of break that down more as we go, but I'm not afraid of a little running back investment this offseason. Jeremiah Love is just would be coming with such a premium pick that now you're not adding that extra wrinkle to your defensive line. B-Meg says Moonrise Kingdom is my favorite. Fantastic Mr. Fox. These are Wes Anderson movies, everybody. Fantastic Mr. Fox is my favorite. Asteroid City is second. And those are very close, and you could probably get me some days to even flip those. I've seen Asteroid City so many times now. Moonrise Kingdom is great. Here's the thing, folks. I think they're all great. So I will never have an unpleasant conversation with someone else about Wes Anderson. If they're like, oh, my favorite is this one, we could come up with something to talk about. In fact, Darjeeling Limited is one that gets, I think, kind of dumped on a little bit. I think that's probably near the bottom of most of your like Wes Anderson movies ranked. Oh man, I'll have to do a power ranking this offseason. I don't want to rank art. That's not as fun, but I probably will. The Darjeeling Limited might be 3 for me. And it's low on the list for a lot of people. I don't, art and taste and whatnot. Tyrion in the chat says, us, normal, feels like he's forgotten who his audience is. Hey, you know what? Fair enough. And maybe I've forgotten who I am. I don't know. Arrowhead says, can't make everyone happy. Run game will undoubtedly improve compared to last year. That's the truth. And it's going to improve because there will be more talent. That's the other thing that I appreciate you taking that angle there, Ed. If the running back room is great next year with Breece Hall and year 2 of Brashard Smith, and maybe it's Kareem Hunt first down machine or whatever, if that room is just great, that's not just because DeMarco Murray is magic or Eric Bieniemy is magic. It's because there's way more talent in that running back room than what they tried to do last year. So it's going to have levels to it. Ron mentions Jaden Ott going from 1,300 yards at Cal to 450 over 2 years seems to be the only anecdote of substance. OU probably knows the real reason and told Andy. Seems very plausible, and that certainly does seem to be where most of it's coming from. And that's tough. When you have expectations and you don't deliver them, you start to try to figure out who can you blame for this, and that makes a ton of sense. Ronson trade again, Life Aquatic for the win. Also stupendous. Pete, presumably from earlier in the social breakdown, just remove notifications. Doesn't work that way for me anymore, man. I tried that for a while. I turned off my push notifications, and then still, if I've just got an idle hand and I'm just sitting, we're watching TV, or I'm finished a podcast, like, I'll just open my phone real quick. 4 clicks later, before I have caught up to what I'm doing, I'm like a whole Twitter thread down. And so that's why I'm trying the nuclear option here. And we'll see if I can kind of drip feed myself back in when maybe around draft season or when the actual year comes around. I've tried. It's just going to be tough. And then, interesting question from B-Megs, as we just kind of roll through some off-season thought experiments. If the defense improves, how good does the offense have to be? That's a good question. I think the offense has to be back to the Chiefs' standard, which can be tricky because I guess that standard has moved several times over this era. I will say, I guess I might be taking the opposite of the way that you're asking that question. I'm afraid for the defense, just because of all the change that there's going to be, presumably in the secondary, presumably still adding a lot to the defensive line, presumably losing Leo Chanel and or Drew Tranquil. There's just going to be so much turnover there, where offensively, look, they were disappointing last year, but your receivers are more or less back. If you want Juju back, I'm sure he'll come back. Hollywood, probably going somewhere else. But like your Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy build should be available to you, depending on how you want to use it. Travis Kelce, it seems like the wind's blowing towards him coming back for one more year. I think I said one more year last year, so maybe another year for Travis Kelce, and if he wants to play till he's 40, I'm not going to kick him out. The offensive line is good to go, which we'll talk about later for a reason that's annoying. Not bad, just internet being annoying. I think the offense has more pressure on it to improve, because I don't know what exactly you can put on the defense right now, and that question will also evolve based off of what the Trent McDuffie solution ends up being. There are so many moving parts on the defense that right now I am hesitantly, I don't say like I'm skeptical of them being okay. I think they will be okay. I think there's a little volatility, where if they really nail a couple of defensive draft picks, and if they like sign Boye Mafe and he's great right away, then you actually could get one of the best performances you've seen from that Chiefs defense in a little while. If those departures are felt as strongly as it seems like they may be, I think you're in kind of not a rebuilding year, but a growth year for the defense, because I do think you're probably going to be replacing some veterans with some younger players. And the Chiefs have survived growth years defensively many times before, or at least one time of obvious significant note, when you bring in a whole new class of rookie secondary players and George Karlaftis. You can do that. Spags can do that. It's just not his preference, right? Your preference is to have your reliable veterans there throughout. So I really am very curious to see if the defense can improve, because I think pending Mahomes' health, obviously, I think I'm more confident in the offense's improvement than I am in the defense's improvement right now, which is kind of the opposite of the question you asked. Hopefully that's a useful answer regardless. Let's go ahead and take a timeout. We'll bring Tucker D. Franklin in, and the D stands for definitely going to talk about mock drafts. It's just not good for any of us. We're just definitely going to do that. We'll do that next. Let's bring in the one and only Tucker Franklin. I want to start with that running back topic, Tucker, with the addition of DeMarco Murray. First of all, I imagine, like me, your main point of reference for DeMarco Murray is like one of your first handful of fantasy football teams, and him being like having one of those kind of like Arian Foster kind of runs. You're like, oh, this might be the best running back I've ever seen, and then they're just like out of the league a few years later.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray had that incredible years with the Cowboys, and then he went to the Eagles, and he was I think he was pretty good with the Eagles for a couple of years, You went
Just
over kind
one.
of his stats. That's crazy to me that it was only one.
1 year in Philly.
And I remember him being pretty decent before that fall off kind of happened pretty quick. But yeah, truthfully, I think Arian Foster might have had a little bit more longevity than
That's totally
DeMarco
possible.
Murray here. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit Here we go. Here's a comp. It's a little Todd Gurley-esque of like Todd Gurley when he played. He was like so good on that rookie contract. And then when he got the second contract, yeah, he had a second contract, but those years just were not as good. You're going to be shocked by how little Todd Gurley actually played in the NFL.
You just saw me be shocked by it. You saw my mouth drop because I was like, oh man, I remember Todd Gurley. Didn't he have like a second act in Atlanta? He did.
He did.
1 year. Mm-hmm. So what you saw, as you were saying, you're going to be shocked. If the viewers saw my mouth drop, it's because as I typed Todd Gurley into Pro Football Reference, it said 2015 through 2020.
Yeah.
6 years. 5 years with the Rams and 3 years in a row with double-digit. Four out of those years, he had double-digit touchdowns. He averaged double-digit touchdowns every year across that.
So
with times with the Rams. 5 for 5. Crazy. And then 1 year in Atlanta, he averaged 3.5 yards a carry. I guess was that all just knees at that point? That was the COVID year, dude. That was 2020.
He realized I don't need to be out here doing all this.
Todd Gurley was playing in 2020?
Yeah.
Man, we're going to be able to do this with NFL running backs until the day we die.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that are insane timeline-wise when you think about it. And that's why it was kind of crazy to think about, like, oh, did DeMarco Murray and Andy Reid ever cross paths?
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the natural progression of like, okay, so how does DeMarco Murray know Andy Reid? Like
Right.
that was like the first progression. And it doesn't really seem like they ever cross paths on the same team, right? So Andy Reid spent a lot of time coaching against him when he was with the Cowboys, and Andy Reid was with the Eagles.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
like,
true.
oh,
Those
yeah.
first 2 years, they would have been in the division together.
Yeah.
Or first 3 years.
In that case, yes. And then by the time he went to Philly, Andy Reid wasn't there. I believe Doug Peterson was there. Was he? I just did a Sporcle quiz on this the other day. This was a fun one to do. The last 10 Super Bowls. So from Super Bowl, I think, 50 to 60, the starting quarterbacks and running backs for each team. And there were some ones in there. It might have been more than that. It might have been more than the last 10. But there were some ones in there, like when the Eagles went the first time to the Super Bowl. Like I was like, I don't know.
Miles Sanders?
I can't remember. I need to pull it up.
We're gonna have to just play this game.
Now I'm gonna have to pull it up
point.
because that was one of those like Sporcle quizzes. I was like, I started and I was like, oh wow, this is actually incredibly fun to do this one. But like the quarterbacks were easy. I think I got all the starting quarterbacks. Kaepernick snuck in there on one of them. That was a good pull for me.
Did they
on
give
that
you
part.
the teams?
Yeah,
Or
they
you
give
just
you the
going- okay.
teams. Yeah, they give you the teams. You just don't know who like the starting ones, which was really interesting because I could not for the life of me. I was like, man, who? I was like, I got all the Chiefs starting quarterback, obviously Mahomes, but then you have like, okay, who's gonna be like the running backs? Because the running backs are different. Technically, Kareem Hunt started last year's Super Bowl, so Kareem Hunt is technically the Super Bowl starting running back for the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. Then you have Isaiah Pacheco in the Eagles one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is actually the starting running back in the 2020 Super Bowl.
2020.
Well, so when they played, I guess it would have been technically in 2021, but
And then Damian Williams.
is the 2019 the Super Bowl for the 2019 season. So 54 is Damian Williams. 55 was Clyde. 50 did they play in 56? They went 57 58.
56 was Rams Bengals.
Yeah. So, yeah. 57 was Pacheco. 58, that's when they went back to back. That was Kareem. And then I think Pacheco got the start in last year. I have to go back and look. But I think it was one against the Eagles. This happened just this last year. So it would have been 59, right? That was Kareem Hunt's start. So Pacheco might have had 2 in the back-to-back, right?
Yeah.
But then after that, I thought it was crazy that Kareem Hunt got the running back start for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Also amazing. I got an email a couple of days ago. I saw this. I wanted to tell Tucker and I forgot. I got an email from Sporcle. telling me that I had earned a new Sporcle trophy. I hadn't played in a while, but I got a new Sporcle trophy. Do you know what the Sporcle trophy is for? Nice work. You earned the 16-year club trophy. I made my Sporcle account 16 years ago.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? It's getting some of those like old corners of the internet. We're getting some like fact checking in. I'm gonna let you pull that up, and we got to at least confirm the Chiefs wins. I kind of want to play that game, but
yeah.
That's very KCSN live. Maybe you just got to bring one of those in on Monday. If you want to just bring some Sporcle action over here for the dark days of the off season, I'm more than happy to try to like split screen and tag team some of these. I think that would be that'd be good for remembering some guys.
It is a good one. I think I have found it though. But so I played this one that was Super Bowl locations, and then you also have Super Bowl, because again that's an interesting one too, because locations, because there's so many different one-off cities.
Yeah.
Right. Like New York. I know we all probably remember that for the MetLife Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
But like there's so many locations like that, or Minnesota.
Minnesota had one.
The one that always like just like completely I forget about. Indianapolis.
Indy.
I always forget about the Indianapolis one. Crazy.
You just kind of do some of that.
Super Bowl venues is a good one too, because not only do you have to name like what stadium it is, and a lot of them they did like the Rose Bowl was early on, and they did the Coliseum. They had the Orange Bowl. They went to like most of them early on. But yes, it was quite. I found the quiz. There's 84 different players. This is okay. So this is actually the Super Bowl. What's XL?
40.
40.
40. Yeah.
40. Yeah. 40.
Was that Cardinals Steelers?
Seahawks.
Just Seahawks. That's right. Cardinals Steelers was 42 or 43. Doesn't matter.
Yes. 43. Great Super Bowl, by the way. One of the better Super Bowls, I think. And man,
electric.
There was a run here. So you talk about 42, which was Giants Patriots, and I think that's the year that like they stopped the unbeatable season. Yeah. Incredible Super Bowl. Up until that last form, like I think there were 72 seconds left on the clock when David Tyree made that catch. And like if he doesn't make that catch, that game's over at that point.
Yeah.
Because I think it was fourth down, or if Eli Manning doesn't get sacked. Incredible game. The game after that, incredible. Saints Colts was not as incredible. I think that was the ambush onside kick though.
Yes.
Which also has a good moment to it. So like that span right there was pretty beautiful. Steelers Seahawks was one of the first ones that I vividly remember. Like I remember like the Panthers and the Patriots playing in a Super Bowl, but
that might be my first one that's very clearly in my head, because I remember having, I don't know if it was Cowboys or Raiders or just a silver helmet. But we had a lot of like plastic football helmets. I don't feel like those are as big of a thing anymore. Maybe because kids kept wearing them and like headbutting each other and they were not protective. But we had a lot of those that we would get from like garage sales and stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, it might have been a Raiders helmet, which would justify what I did, which was to hand draw a Carolina Panthers logo and just tape it on the side. So now it was a Panthers helmet for the Super Bowl. And I remember that quite vividly, and I was I guess a big Jake Delhomme fan for that like week.
Yeah, I mean I can't blame you. I got called a terrorist one time for saying I like the Panthers.
I remember that was more recently than people would expect.
Yeah, very more recently.
That was
post like, Cam Newton. Yeah.
That was like 6 months ago, within the last year, I think.
Yeah. Oh, good times. Love the internet.
Yeah, it's very healthy. You know what? Do you have any DeMarco Murray takes before I go on to other things I hate about the frickin' internet right now?
Yeah, well, look, I talked about this on That Football Show a little bit, and this is probably a good motto for your life to kind of take into consideration, but nothing is ever going to be as good or as bad as people tell you it is. Mm-hmm. And I think that you should kind of live your life that way, is if you constantly set a just meh bar, you'll be more impressed by a lot of things in your life, and I think that's probably the right way to approach a lot of things. And look, it's no secret.
Such a Verderami angle too. It really is. So perfect.
I've shared enough time with him. We shared a hotel room, and this is my outlook on life now. We shared a hotel room one time, and now I've changed my whole outlook on life. A hotel room that had wildly deep chairs in it. I don't know if you noticed how deep those chairs were.
I heard about it. I didn't actually see the video of you sunk into what could only be described as the couple's cuck chairs. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad had actually texted me, and he was like, "Hey, watch your guys' podcast." He's like, Hotel room set's not my favorite one." I said, "That's understandable. I get it."
But I didn't realize until I think you mentioned it at the end of one of the audio feeds that I was listening to, and then I went back and I saw the video. The fact that Verderam, I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to do what I'm about to describe. The fact that Verderam, the first thing in the frame from his side is his frickin' toes.
Oh, yeah,
he had his little piggies out there just breathing in the wind. I did not like that.
Yeah, I blurred it on the thumbnail. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I blurred his feet on the thumbnail. Yeah, awesome. On the thumbnail, I blurred it. Just because, no free ads or anything like that.
Yeah.
Also,
right.
Can I tell you, I don't know if you've listened to that football show already today, which
I have not listened to today.
So,
I have not.
Fridays always comes out a little bit later than what it does on the Monday edition, because Monday's always first thing right in your feed.
Yeah.
But someone had alerted me to this online. It was someone I had 2 or 3 DMs and a couple of tweets at me about this. Our stance on fanatics that we have on that program. I guess that one of the systematic ads that we had placed happened to be a Fanatics pre-roll ad before our podcast, where we just went on to decimate Fanatics for their awful Super Bowl designs.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but I swear to you, there was some other Fanatics nonsense that crossed my field of vision yesterday. And I was like, man, I should put that in the Google Doc so Tucker and I can dunk on these losers. I seriously, I thought, oh man, I don't know if they've ever we're burning bridges here with Fanatics. They're I don't want BJ to call me and be like, hey, can you stop mother bleeping the company Fanatics? But I went through that thought process in 5 seconds because I went, well, oh, never mind. That bridge has been napalmed already. Tucker and Verderam have taken the front. I am there behind you, next in line.
Yeah.
I might have just been this isn't even Fanatics. The Super Bowl jerseys, the captains on the Patriots had 5 patches. I'm not exaggerating. Logo patch, NFL patch, captain, USA 50, Super Bowl patch. 6, I guess, if you count. No, I think it's 5. I think it was 5 counting the logos. It looks ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And Fanatics is making all of us worse and dumber, and I also hate them. So
you talk about the just about patches in general. The Seahawks actually became the first team ever to win a Super Bowl with a commemorative patch on their jersey. I don't know if you knew that. Because they have the 50th season commemorative patch on their jersey. Yeah, so they're the first team ever to have a commemorative patch. I get the Chiefs won it with the NKH, but it wasn't a commemorative season patch. I guess you could.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the Lamar Hunt patch just became a permanent feature.
Correct.
Which I have always loved. I was really glad they did that for a team. And obviously, you think about it for 5 more seconds. It's okay, so Clark Hunt wasn't going to change anything with the uniforms, and then the only significant change he made was hey, this patch is here to honor my dad. Mm-hmm. But it's the AFC, the AFL logo that way, and I've always loved that. And I'm so glad that became a permanent fixture on the Chiefs uniforms. But they didn't win it, obviously, the year those patches were on for the first time. So that's now more like the GSH on the Bears uniforms. That's a permanent fixture.
Yeah, and when you think back to the years that the Chiefs have had those commemorative season patches, they had, remember the 50th season patch that they had where it was and then they ended up wearing the Dallas Texans helmet for the throwback year, and there's obviously the big picture of Matt Castle. I think they played the Cowboys in those uniforms, actually.
I think you're right.
In Kansas City, yeah. Shout out Joel Prestel, he was at that game, so shout out to him.
Nice.
For going to that game. But yeah, the Seahawks were the first team ever to have a commemorative season patch and win the Super Bowl in that commemorative season, which is a really cool fun little nugget. But you talk about patches, how they're loaded up like NASCARs, like stock cars. I mean, man, Those suckers. And look, I'm okay. Like, again, it's a one-off game, so I'm not necessarily too beat up by it, and they're not advertisements. So again, like, I'm not.
It's coming. It's on the way.
Yeah, if they were like Starbucks patch, America 250 patch, the commemorative season, Microsoft,
and
like
the Seahawks have the word Seahawks on their like lapel.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they did that. But yeah, I mean that I understand people's frustration, obviously with like patch placement as well. Oh, yes. Don't get me started on the patch placement for like the why did they put that in the gray? Like why did they put it all the way up? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But we're not in charge of it. But anyway,
clearly,
it'd be better.
So that's your DeMarco Murray take. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's DeMarco Murray. Good running.
I don't know which of the. You know what? Let's go ahead and debut. We've got two new lower thirds here. One of them is a ongoing bit that I might we've talked about for months. I'm just gonna go straight to the bonk today.
Good.
Welcome to our new segment, bonk. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, for any number of reasons, you might just need to deliver a bonk to somebody on the internet. Often that is for unnecessary advancements in on the timeline. Sometimes True. Somebody either shoots their shot, so to speak, or just generally kind of embarrassing on the timeline. Sometimes you got to hit them with the bonk. Mm-hmm. In this case, there's a little bit of embarrassment here that I'm going to bonk with a purpose. So shout out to next week's guest on everything else, Chad Reuter, NFL analyst on NFL.com. I don't think he'll probably be joining us. And frankly, I don't know him. I don't really care about him. I don't not care about him. I just don't. Not a part of my life. Mm-hmm. He did a 3-round mock draft on NFL.com, and it is the only thing I want to use it for here today, really, is to help you recalibrate for your content brain for the next 2 months. The lab guys actually broke down a lot of these specific reasons this is stupid. But I want to make sure you, the listener, are armed with a little bit of confidence here. Mm-hmm. Here's why. Chad Reuter writes, at pick number 9 in his mock draft, Reuben Bain Jr. is on the board. Carnell Tate is on the board. I think most of the wide receivers are out there. The board fell okay for the Chiefs. And at number 9, the Chiefs take Caden Proctor, left tackle from Alabama. Okay. Left tackle, I'll mention, as Tucker and the lab guys have covered. Writer writes, Proctor is a younger, more nimble version of former Chiefs left tackle Orlando Brown, who helped the team win Super Bowl 57. If the 6'7", 366-pounder shows excellent athleticism for his size at the NFL scouting combine, and Kansas City moves on from penalty-prone veteran Juwan Taylor, this pick makes a lot of sense. No, it doesn't. We could end the show right now. I'm not going to, but we could. Juwan Taylor is going to be moved on from. His salary cap hit is not reasonable, and Jalen Moore, whose name is not mentioned in that blurb, Jalen Moore is being paid like a pretty high-level starting right tackle. Josh Simmons is your left tackle. Proctor played exclusively left tackle in college. Again, the lab guys went through like some of the physical build stuff. Where like he comps him to Orlando Brown Jr., a player the Chiefs have not signed another similar version of him since he left town. They've gone for more nimble, more athletic guys. Again, the lab actually like broke that down with the expertise necessary. Jalen Moore's cap hit next year is almost $19 million. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th on the team, and will be 5th after Juwan Taylor is moved on from.
Yeah.
I think Kent made that point as well, but I don't like crediting Kent for things. So go listen to Matt and Craig. They did great stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to tell you, the listener. Sometimes you might doubt this. You do know more about the Kansas City Chiefs than a lot of these analysts.
Yeah.
You do. You don't know more about 31 other teams than most of these analysts. You might not know more about how the wind's blowing behind the scenes and how some things in the league works. There are national analysts who have a really good 30,000-foot view, and the reason that KCSN exists and that this show exists is because you come here. That football show that Tucker and Verderam do, I love that show in part because I don't want to do that show. I don't have the confidence of like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to diagnose what went wrong with the Titans. I don't think I can, because that's not the team that I spend hours a day researching and reading about and learning about and watching the film and all of that. If you see a mock draft and the Chiefs take an offensive tackle at 9, specifically take Proctor at 9,
yeah,
you can just go, well, no, that's not a fit. Doesn't match the roster construction. It doesn't help any of your several areas of need. Like, I'm a little lukewarm on the Jeremiah Love thing because I think there are better uses for that investment of that incredible asset you have with the number 9 overall pick. I'd rather them take Jeremiah Love than another tackle, just assuring that Jalen Moore, unless you can trade Jalen Moore for the 12th overall pick, it just doesn't make sense. So, Tucker, I know you've been around. I think you dug this up first and made all of us sad the first time we had to read it. But it's just stuck with me now through several days, because it's not that I disagree with the pick. It's that the logic is broken. If you can give me real logic, Jeremiah Love's going to get mocked to the Chiefs 1,000 times over the next 2 months, and the logic will make sense. You can make that case. This case is indefendable.
Yeah, and that's what's so frustrating about it, right? Like, that's the one thing that Caden Proctor is a guy who, look, highly touted recruit out of high school. He went to Alabama. There's a little bit of Caden Proctor lore of he's from Iowa. He went and started as a freshman at the University of Alabama, had a really good freshman season, entered the transfer portal, was going to go to Iowa. Actually, I think enrolled at Iowa, got NIL money, hit the transfer portal before the season started at Iowa, and went back to Alabama.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was a little bit of just like hey, this stuff's kind of crazy. That's kind of one of the first stories you talked about with him. He's a good football player, but the body types doesn't make any sense. The position doesn't really make any sense, especially when you think about who they have on the roster with Jalen Moore and that signing, which I believe is Jalen Moore's deal technically a 3-year deal, but everyone kind of assumes it's a 2-year deal, or was it actually a 2-year deal?
I think his might be literally 2. I'll double check that. I've got the over the cap page open. I think his is just a straight 2-year deal.
Okay, so yeah, I was confusing him with another contract that they signed, but I think that it doesn't really, especially when you look at who else is on the board in that mock draft.
Yes,
I would be actually infuriated. And when this mock draft was brought to my attention by Kent and Maddie, I think this was pre-lab on Monday is when they brought it to my attention. I went and I looked at it, and because they didn't tell me who Reuter had them picking, and my jaw dropped, and I said, I think my reaction was, I have a new nightmare scenario. Because
I can confirm that stuck with me as a reaction. It's very funny.
That was something I never had even thought about. I know that there's been some talked about some of the other tackles that are out there, like the kid from Utah is one that gets thrown out there. A lot of his name escapes me right now, but again, it's a guy who's had some maybe more traditional tackle type builds.
Fano's from Utah. The
Fano,
Miami
yes.
guy, is it just Malga, like Josh Malga? There's an extra vowel in there. It might be Mayaga. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
It seems like he's the guy. I think Seth said hey, if he falls to 9 for if he's found in a gas mask before the draft kicks off and he's there at 9, then maybe that's a different animal. But everyone else, I think I have seen him mocked to the Cardinals at 3 in almost every mock draft to this point. Doesn't seem like he's in the mix here.
Right, and at that point, you've got other pressing needs. You don't need to reach on an offensive tackle that high up. And this kind of goes into the national conversation a little bit about surrounding the Chiefs. Is you see what happened last year, and a lot of national people are like, "Oh, Chiefs really got to fix their offensive line." They don't. They really don't. They had injuries. Their first round pick last year kind of played, and when he did, he was really good. And they have Jalen Moore, and they have a really good interior. And Kingsley Suamataia played really well. And Jawan Taylor's a penalty magnet, but it doesn't really seem like he's going to be on the team next year. And if you just kind of put baseline, what do they call it in baseball? Replacement level talent.
Yes.
If you put replacement level talent in his position that doesn't have the minus penalties, you're going to be fine. And Patrick Mahomes is staring right at that dude. So I wouldn't necessarily be that upset about the Chiefs' offensive line. Like, I think the line's in a good spot. This just kind of shows you. I think that's a good point that you bring up here too. Is that like it's a hard thing to do to try to be locked into all 32 teams. It's something that, luckily in my job, I just can kind of dunk on all 31 teams, right? Outside of the Chiefs. And then Verderam's kind of like, hey, well, like this is what's actually happening.
Right.
He's actually the plugged in one to all 32 teams. But I think that if the Chiefs do take an offensive lineman, I will be befuddled. I will be soundly confused in what the plan and what the process is.
I think we all of us at KCSN and like every Chiefs fan right now, just over the next I don't know, just however long you feel like. There's no rush. There's no deadline on this for you. It's just a fun project. If Oscar in the chat says, sorry I'm late, did I miss the bird talk? I don't know if they're shocking how much I had to close my curtain over here because it was really bright, so I haven't been able to see. We got a chickadee on the. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's a downy woodpecker here on the woodpecker feeder. I see a squirrel out there. Something's on a little house sparrow. 2 of them out on that feeder there. So there you go, Oscar. Thanks for being here. We should all just have a top 12 big board, or maybe just do for as many players as you would be happy with at 9. And you only need 8 of those because Mendoza's going. So
Right.
if you can list 8 players who you'd be happy with at number 9 overall, you've got a big board for the first round. Like that's very, very doable. And I don't know if any of these tackles would actually be there for me. But again, you can go ahead and pencil in several of them who are going. I don't know. It's going to be a long couple of months. That's why just keep all of this in mind as you shuffle through mock drafts. I care when the lab guys do one because they know the Chiefs and the draft.
Yeah.
I find myself cracking open like the Daniel Jeremiah or the Dane Brugler kind of ones where it's like, okay, you're putting in so much work here that I'm going to learn something. Mm-hmm. But if this might not be fair because I think he's literally like the best of the best. But if Dane Brugler goes like, yeah, the Chiefs actually, they could really use a right tackle for 2025 or 2026 in particular, we could all be like, well, Dane, not really. Now, again, he's a bad example because he actually checks that stuff, it seems. Yeah. I'll say as someone who's been in all crevices of this particular machine, it's really, really easy to do a mock draft and to barf it on the internet. And we all do it. We all do it. And if you're doing it for fun, that's great. If you're doing it because it's your job, Chad, you ought to have a little more. You ought to have a little more going into it.
I'll tell you a little peek behind the curtain here. This might be revealing the wizard a little bit too much here on this. Is that we all love mock drafts, and from my experience, is that mock draft we know that everyone loves mock drafts because if we post a mock draft, that's usually a highly clicked on topic.
It's a winner. People like them. People click on them.
So that's why guys have mock draft 14.0 coming out. Yes. That's why, because they know that you will click on them. They'll know that you will watch them. They know that you will listen. They know that you will discuss. They know that you will screenshot and you will tag them and tweet it out and share their link. So again, back to the state of social media today, but that's why it happened.
I'm going to try to stay off socials and watch some movies and play some games this weekend. We'll do some multimedia roundup stuff on Monday. There's a new game out right now that's starting to take the indie gaming space by storm. It's called Mewgenics, MEW. You're like, wow, Josh, that sounds pretty edgy. I'm pretty early into it. It's I'll give you more of the backstory on it, but just if you're curious, what I'm playing right now, it's that. You're breeding cats and going on roguelike adventures, and it sounds like there is a ton to uncover. I've played 10 hours. I've had a very good time, turn-based combat and all that. So we'll talk about that and some other media things. I still haven't even revealed my extremely hot movie take that I've been teasing now for a good month, which just for me means that we've been having plenty to talk about, which is exciting. Real quick, shout out to Slammin' Sammy Joe. The super chat says, D-line lacks depth, but I like our starters. We'll see what the Chiefs do as well. I think that you can. I don't know if are you counting who's your second starter there on the.
I was going to say who are the starters?
If it's Omar and Ashton Gelati, I like them as depth for sure. starters, they got more to prove still. It's a lot of pressure on year 2 guys. But I appreciate you being here. And Ron does say here, he mentioned it earlier as well, I'm saying we need the squirrel cam going the whole show. I'm highlighting this because I think it's a good enough of an idea for me to really put some thought into. The problem is that this desktop that I run the show from right now already struggles with one mic and one camera and no other tabs. And so I don't know, Ron, I guess if you want to like donate like a beefy pre-built computer or something,
like a data center or something. Yeah.
No, I don't need that much.
How much water do you have? Yeah.
Hold on.
We're basically a water center now. Wow, Josh, you're really going to chug all that water when the data center really could have used all of that?
There are thirsty robots who will never be able to drink this. And it has been removed from the water cycle.
You're really going to drink that water when the data center really could have used all that water? You're really going to leave that there? You're really going to drink it? That's impressive. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty impressed by that.
It's a glass bottle, too, so you're not getting any... You can't, like, crush the bottle. I was also kind of impressed by that water chug. Weirdly, I gotta piss, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap the show up right here. Thanks for joining us today. Have a good weekend. Thanks for joining us here on the Kansas City Squirrel Network. Thank you, Ron. We'll work on the technical side of all of that. I'm going to need 100,000 gallons of water and a little bit of a budget, but now I have a tummy ache. Until Monday. Bye, Mom! Woo! I feel better. Sorry about that. It was really gross. I heard it too.
I thought it was great.
Thank you. Why did I do that?
Great bit.
That's why. You're right. Asked and answered. Unfortunately, I'm a little warm. I think I need to cool down. Anybody have a local water tower I can put a straw in? I gotta draw a picture of myself as a duck. I need 25 gallons of water. Stat. What do I look like as a Studio Ghibli character? I need water.
Sometimes when I see people post those AI pictures, I was like, is that worth the 47 trees you just killed to do that? That stupid picture worth the 47 trees.
Bring me a swimming pool. I need to generate a mock draft. Last one. That was it.